All right, today we are going on an incredible journey. We're going to shrink down, way down to explore the most fundamental unit of life itself, the cell. This is the hidden world inside every single living thing, so let's dive right in.
I know, that sounds like a weird riddle, right? But the answer to this question is actually the key to understanding our entire biological world. It's the one thing that connects you to the simplest plant and the most complex animal.
And there it is. The whole idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine your body is just this massive, intricate house. Well, cells are the individual bricks. They make up the walls, the floors, the roof. They are the essential, living building blocks of you.
And this really shows you the scale of it all. You know, we have our organs, a heart, a lung. Those organs are made of different kinds of tissues. And if you zoom in even further on those tissues, what do you find? You find that they're all made of these amazing cooperating communities of cells.
And here's the crucial point. The cell is where life happens. It's the smallest possible package that we can actually call alive. It carries out all the functions it needs to sustain itself, and by doing that, well, it sustains us.
So, let's get back to that piece of cork. Way back in 1665, a scientist named Robert Hooke sliced a super thin piece of it and put it under a very early microscope. He saw this incredible honeycomb of tiny, empty boxes that reminded him of the small rooms, or cells, where monks lived. And just like that, the invisible world of the cell got its name.
Of course, the tools we have today are just mind-blowing compared to what Hooke was using. His simple microscope has evolved into these unbelievably powerful electron microscopes that can show us every single tiny detail of these structures. And that huge leap in technology is what really blew the doors off all the secrets hidden inside.
So now that we know what we're looking for, are you ready to go inside? Let's take a tour. And I think the best way to understand how all its different parts work together is to think of a cell as a miniature, bustling city.
And every good tour needs a map, right? Here's ours, a diagram of a typical animal cell. Now, it might look like a confusing jumble at first, but trust me, every single one of these little components, which are called organelles, has a very specific and very vital job to do.
Our first stop is the biggest landmark in town. You can't miss it, the nucleus. You can think of this as the official information and control center for the whole operation. Yeah, in our city analogy, the nucleus is definitely City Hall. It's the central office where the master blueprint for the entire organism, the DNA, is kept safe. And it's from here that all the instructions are sent out to direct the city's daily operations, everything from growth to repair to making new products. Okay, next up is probably the most famous organelle out there, the mitochondria. I'm sure you've heard it called the powerhouse of the cell.
And that's exactly right. If the nucleus is City Hall, then the mitochondria are the power plants. They're scattered all throughout the city, and they are working 24/7 to turn food into usable energy. They're what keeps the lights on and all the machinery running. Without them, the whole city would just shut down.
And the complexity is just incredible. Our city also has countless little factories called ribosomes making proteins. There's a central post office, the Golgi complex, that handles all the packaging and shipping. And you've even got a sanitation crew called lysosomes for waste disposal and recycling. All of this is just floating around in the cytoplasm, which is this jelly-like stuff where all the action happens. Now, not all cellular cities are built the same way. You've basically got two different city plans. There are prokaryotic cells like bacteria. They're simple, more like a small town with no central city hall. Their blueprints are just kind of bundled up in the main area. Then you've got eukaryotic cells. That's what we're made of, plants and animals. And these cities are way more complex with a real nucleus and lots of other specialized districts.
And even within that complex eukaryotic category, there are different models. So let's compare the two most common ones. You've got the plant city and the animal city. They share a lot of the same infrastructure, but they have a few critical differences.
So the differences are pretty clear. Plant cells have this really rigid outer cell wall for support, which animal cells don't. Plants also tend to have one huge central vacuole, basically for storing water. And most importantly, they have chloroplasts. Animal cells don't have those, but we do have things called centrosomes, which help out during cell division.
So what this really means is that plant cities are super self-sufficient. They build their own protective walls for structure because they don't have skeletons, right? And they have their own solar power stations. Those chloroplasts convert sunlight directly into food. It's an incredibly efficient design.
Okay, so we've toured the city and we've seen all the parts. But this brings up a huge question. If cells are the building blocks, how does a city grow from just one single brick into a massive, thriving metropolis of trillions of cells, like a human body?
The answer is actually beautifully simple. It's called cell division. A single parent cell just grows to its limit, it makes a copy of everything inside, and then it splits right down the middle to form two identical daughter cells. This one process, repeated billions and billions of times, is how we grow and how our bodies repair themselves.
And the scale of this is just staggering. Every single day, your body is replacing millions of old, worn-out cells with fresh new ones through this very process. It's a constant, silent, and absolutely essential cycle of renewal that's happening inside you right now.
Ultimately, it all just comes down to this simple truth. This constant growth, this division and renewal, it isn't just some interesting biological quirk. It is the absolute foundation of what it means to be a living, growing, and healing organism.
Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on. If the very bricks that build you are being replaced every single day, millions of them, what does that say about who you are? It's a reminder that life isn't static. It's a dynamic, ever-changing, incredible city of cells.